Hey dude, it's Mocktails and Yap time, and today we are trying this new Trip Mindful blend from Calm. It's wild strawberry. So let's try it and yap. And I'll test you if it tastes like shit. It's not bad. Anyway, I was just taking a shower and I get all my best ideas in the shower. And today I was thinking about back to when I was like 31 and I got diagnosed with ADHD. So this was like a few years back. I'm 36 now. And the reason why I went to get diagnosed with ADHD is because TikTok. I was like anti-TikTok for the longest time. Like all through COVID, I was like, no, like the thick of it, right? When we were all like at home and people were dancing on TikTok, I was like, no TikTok for me, thanks. But then went through a really sad breakup for me. And I remember like feeling like total shit and feeling like something is wrong. And I felt like something was wrong for a while already, but couldn't like name the what's wrong. Hi Tammy. And so after the breakup, I started doing a lot of like soul searching, right? And then I went to a counselor, and it was like, oh, you have anxiety, and that was my first diagnosis, is that I had anxiety. And then I was like, okay, I don't think it's anxiety. And so like I remember scrolling through TikTok and seeing some ADHD creators, and then I was like, oh my god, like I think I have that. I think that's like me. And so I went and I was like, I think I have ADHD. And so I went to mental health. So I was in the military and I went to mental health and I was like, dude, I think I have ADHD. And so my therapist was like, okay, cool, like let's give you the test. And so I'm sure like when you go to like a non-military provider, the test is different. Because whatever. So anyway, he gives me this test and then he comes back and he's like, yeah, okay, cool, you have ADHD combined. And so then of course I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And after doing like all this research and stuff, I was like, wow, that really like makes sense. So here is something they don't tell you when you get diagnosed, like a late diagnosis with ADHD, right? So I was 31 going on 32, and after finding out that I have ADHD and like all the symptoms and like all your life, you feel like you're behind or you're like you don't fit in. You have a really hard time with relationships and friendships and all sorts of things, right? And you go through this period of just sadness, and I call it the ADHD grief period. Just finding out like so late in life and thinking back to like, wow, if I didn't have ADHD, what my life could have looked like. And of course, like, I'm one of those people that lives their life by like it's meant to be to a degree. But like you go through these stages, right, of like sadness and then like anger and unmasking and learning like who you are. And I feel like to this day I'm still learning who I am, but now I have this whole other caveat because I'm going through perimenopause, I think. But that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that in a different video. But yeah, so I think a lot of people don't talk about this part of finding out like that you have ADHD late in life, and then like how to cope with it, right? Like they're just like, oh, it's just like gonna be like a normal cycle, right? Go through the emotions, and my going through the emotions was like a whole 3 years. I went through this like crazy 3-year period where I isolated myself for the most part, because I was trying to figure out who I am, what I like, what I don't like, when I'm masking, when I'm not masking, how I mask, do I mirror other people's personalities, emotions, and things like that? Am I an empath, or do I just have ADHD, right? Like, all these things that come with a diagnosis that nobody, well, like people that have ADHD, right? Like, they talk about that, but like nobody prepares you for that. And I think that more people should talk about this, because there are things that I like see online, and you know, social media is amazing because it brings like a community together, right? I keep asking on TikTok if there's a support group for us, and seriously, like, why isn't there one? And it has to be free, right? It's like about community. It's not like I'm an ADHD coach and I'm trying to sell you some shit. No, it has to be like just people coming together and sharing their experience, because there is so many things that like happen, and then it's gonna be like a one-off that you see in a video or like a conversation with somebody, and you're like, oh my god, we're the same. And it's just nice to be able to talk to somebody that can relate, right? And it's like, talk to them not in a self-deprecating way where you're just sharing memes of like, haha, relatable. Yeah. Also, I'm not sponsored. I'm just trying different things. I'll show you a different one next time. But yeah, I think that from now on, we're gonna do this mocktail and yap conversations where we're gonna just talk about different things that people who are neurodiverse or ADHD like specifically deal with. And the more people talk about the way it presents, the way like, and share their experience, the way they deal with it, I think it's super helpful. People who are medicated and people who are not medicated, right? I took medication for a long time, and then it made me feel like shit, so I switched my medication, and then it still made me feel like shit, so I stopped taking medication. So I'm unmedicated, and then my whole like thing is, did it really make my life easier? Probably. But at the same time, I'm also at the stance of, because I dealt with it for so long, I already have certain systems in place. Maybe they're broken systems, but there's some things, right? But I'm always open to learning. And so, yeah, I think that that's gonna be a fun one. So tune in. We'll do these like from time to time. I don't know. I'm not gonna promise you anything because I have ADHD and I can't. I'm not at the capacity to be like every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's not gonna happen. Like, let's be real. Tune in though. Follow me.